Welcome to Pseudoscience 101, the only channel where an F-item with the 479 tri-type, or the wannabe menace to society, mocks the personality system because they do not know how to properly communicate their hyperfixation. Cognitive functions are the most important part of MBTI because it's the only part. Yeah, there's letters like ENTP, INFP, and INTJ as sensing types don't exist on the internet, but the point is that letters only exist to serve cognitive functions. I'll be using a system similar to the one used by Objective Personality, but with a few key differences. To start things off, functions could either be extroverted or introverted, but I like using the terms external and internal because they help me feel smarter than other people. Here's an over-exaggerated analogy. Functions are like adopting puppies, and when they work out, your dog will live a long and happy life. An external function is like adopting 50 puppies, realizing you've wasted all your money on them, and being unable to feed any of them because you're a horrible person. You need to learn to commit. You've ruined yourself to make all the puppies tolerate you, and I hate you. An internal function is like adopting one dog's leg, wasting the rest of your money on the leg's food and water, and getting upset over how it's not working like a regular dog should. This is because you're an idiot. Anyone could see how this will never work out or make anyone happy. You've committed to something without seeing that dogs are more than one leg, and I hate you. I'm going to call whether a function is internal or external its direction because I don't know if it has an official name, and this will come up again. Let's split things up again. There are two main roles for each function to have, judging and perceiving. Judging functions are about judging which decision is the best. Perceiving functions are about perceiving the world. Okay, got that? If not, either go back 10 seconds and give me more watch time, or how do I put this nicely? Watch this on Netflix and then skip to this timestamp. So now that you either understand the difference between judging and perceiving or decided to never watch my channel again, I'm going to combine a function's direction with its role. Since judging functions deal with how you make decisions, their direction determines who you listen to more when you make those decisions. A judging internal function is about going with what you want before realizing you've accidentally screwed up all the important people and everyone hates you. A judging external function is about understanding what other people want, making that happen, and then realizing they only like you for what you do and not who you are. We'll call these self and tribe functions as that's what they turn to when making decisions. Perceiving functions deal with how you understand the world, so their direction is about how many weird things you take in to do it. A perceiving external function is about getting as many solutions as possible and getting upset over how all the moronic ideas you found on Twitter aren't opening a door. A perceiving internal function is about using the same thing over and over, and when you're inevitably screwed up by that thing's flaws, you can't fix it as the only thing you have doesn't work. We'll call these gathering and filtering functions as that's how they deal with information. Remember, anyone could do anything, you just prefer screwing yourself up in some ways over others. Let's translate this to letters. An EJ type has a judging external function first, so they dominantly make decisions by seeing what other people want, hence its common name, the dominant function. Depending on who the EJ is, they take it different ways, whether it be agreeable, contrarian, or beating other people into agreeableness or contrarianness. Great. So logic follows that an EP, as an example, would dominantly observe reality with a perceiving external function, and you'd be correct. They are scared of old things. Thus, IPs and IJs would have a perceiving internal and judging internal function on top respectively, right? No, of course not. It's the other way around. Wanna know why? It's actually because fuck you, that's why! In case you didn't hear from the intro, there are 8 cognitive functions, but so far, we only have 4, which is the worst number for reasons discussed in my Enneagram video. We could describe more of them by splitting things up again, but this time by letters. Since the first letter splits functions in general, perceiving functions are instead split using the second letter, sensing and intuition, while judging functions are split using the third letter, thinking and feeling. So, what are they? Sensing and intuition are perceiving, which means you use them to solve problems and understand things. Sensing would use things like books, physical experiences, activities, science, Wikipedia, sexual relationships with your mother, statistics, and other things which primarily use details to understand how to do things. You could figure out intuition on your own. Judging functions are split by the third letter, feeling and thinking. Thinking is about getting things to work or making the best decision. I don't want to talk about feeling because my voice is starting to hurt, and if you want me to do it anyways, I think you should fuck off. If you want to name a function, you don't say it's thinking and external, as that gets clunky and confusing. Instead, you would call it external thinking. Or, if you hate extra syllables, you call it TE. If you hate extra syllables and common fucking sense, call it T. Since I don't want to repeat the same sentence over and over, all the perceiving functions are on the screen. And now, all the judging functions. So great, we got 8 functions and they're all listed on the screen. However, you don't know the order of which functions you use most and least. This is called a function stack. Because of my raging fucking narcissism, I'll use my type, ISFP. Since I'm an IP, my dominant function is judging, which means I am unhealthily imbalanced with who takes priority when I make decisions, hence the raging fucking narcissism. And while I am biased with my perceiving functions, I could use them more effectively. Furthermore, my dominant judging function is internal, so I mostly make decisions by saying what I specifically want the most because I'm the main character and you have to like me. But how do I decide what I want the most? For this, we'll use my third letter because I like to say my dominant function is judging. If you're an EP or IJ, use your second letter instead. The third letter of ISFP is F, or feeling, so this means my dominant function is FI, and since it's my dominant function, it's a savior, which means when shit is about to hit the fan, I think using Phi will turn it off, when Phi's actually the one who threw the shit in the first place. Once the room starts to stink, people tend to blame it on their demon functions, which are the opposite of their saviors. One of my demon functions, TE, is the opposite of my dominant function, so it's called the inferior function. However, submissive is funnier, and since the joke will get stale soon, I'm going to call it that instead. Something to note is that you aren't good at your saviors and bad at your demons. You're just bad at deciding which functions to use and good at fucking yourself over. Between your dominant and submissive functions are your middle functions, which are the opposite role of your other two functions. This means if your dominant and submissive functions are perceiving, your middle functions will be judging. If you want to find them, take your type, switch the first letter or the last 3 if you're edgy, and take the dominant and submissive functions of that new type. For me, these are C and Ni. One of your middle functions is a savior and the other is a demon, but how you treat them is less intense. If you're more experienced with cognitive functions, you notice I didn't say auxiliary and tertiary functions, which just means savior and demon middle functions. I won't be using these terms as they often come with the interpretation that the middle functions with the opposite direction of your dominant function is always a savior. Constantly wanting new doesn't nullify being a doormat, and being a dick doesn't nullify being scared of new things. This is also because Dave's superpowers from objective personality broke into my house and used his mind control to make me say that. Another thing you might notice is that I didn't say shit about what each function is. Why? Because those descriptions will all be shorter than your dick. Here, let me show you. C understands the world by looking at new details at the expense of trusting familiar concepts. Did I say anything about it being the jock function or liking to get blackout drunk at parties or any of that shit? Well, that's because it doesn't fucking exist. If you want to find someone's type but you're looking at traits, you're only finding their stereotypes. You know, when I started this script, I wanted to end on something which was funny or at least in character, but one thing led to another and... So that's my intro to cognitive functions. If you have any different interpretations or questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and I'm only going to read them if I don't become famous. I don't know how to turn the I hate stereotypes talk into something funny, so I'm not going to. Why? Well, it's actually because fuck you, that's why!